Hey guys, I'm Lexie Smith, a mom, multi-hyphenate entrepreneur, and the founder and CEO of the PRWeek coaching platform and agency. In my career, I've had the privilege of guiding countless brands, ingenious publicists, eager students, and ambitious entrepreneurs on their PR journeys. I've danced with the giants and nurtured startups, directed in-house PR departments, lent my expertise to boards, and spread knowledge across universities nationwide. Throughout all of this, I've seen our industry change and evolve while simultaneously proving that some timeless fundamentals remain unshaken. This show takes you behind the scenes of the world of media, marketing, and PR, aiming to teach you all the new tips, tricks, and how the best and brightest are achieving success over SIPs. Now it's time to grow. Welcome to the show. Michelle Songy is a serial tech entrepreneur and the founder and CEO of PressHook, a media relations platform that connects brands, media, publicists, and journalists. As a PR industry changemaker, she was recently named on PRWeek's Dashboard 25 list of the most influential people in communications technology, representing the enterprises that are shaping your tech stack. She has more than a decade of experience developing, managing, and marketing businesses from startups to Fortune 500 companies. Michelle, welcome so much to the show. I know we just did a Where Are You in the World pre-recording, but I do like to let our listeners know first top of show, where are you zooming in from, and what do you like to do outside of work for fun?
First of all, yeah, thank you so much for having me on. Really excited. Been following you guys for a while. I actually just transplanted about a year ago from New York, where I'd been for a while, to Atlanta, Georgia, my hometown. So getting to see some family more, definitely doing a little bit more like babysitting of the nieces. But in my free time, I love yoga. I love playing tennis recently a bit more. I love traveling and recently got into some like kite surfing and other things like that. So
this is very long shot, but I just went to a wedding 2 weekends ago and reconnected with one of my really good friends from college who lives in Atlanta, Georgia, who just joined a tennis club. Is tennis really big in Atlanta, or is that just a coincidence? Morgan Smith is her name. I mean, it would be a long shot.
Really, I'm sure I can connect her somehow. In the South, we all really closely connected. I played growing up. So I played really competitively since I started playing when I was 3 or 4 years old. Oh. So I played up to high school really competitively, then obviously took a break. Then lived around the world, and then I came back here, and I started playing again. But yeah, I would say tennis and pickleball are pretty much like rivaling each other.
Well, so pickleball is just trending right now everywhere. It's popping up. But the next time you're at your tennis situation, keep a ear out for Morgan Smith.
I will look out for her.
Amazing. Okay, so and you're from there, so you also have lived around the world. Real quick, where have you lived?
Yes. So right after college, I actually went to UGA, worked for Coca-Cola, and they sent me about a year after college to London, where I lived. I had never been there before, but I just picked up and moved there by myself. And that's actually where I started my first startup company, living over there abroad, but traveled a ton all over the world in that time, which was super exciting and fun. And then later on moved to New York.
Okay, so you kind of segued perfectly up to what I am in season 6, just calling it what it is, career cliff notes, because I end up asking the same question. So now we're just titling this a section this season. So I want to go into our career cliff notes. So you had a prior startup, but do you want to kind of rewind time and give us some bullet points of what came before today?
Sure. So while I was living abroad, a friend and I had a great idea to start our own tech company. We at the time didn't even know what it was. We just knew we were going to start one. Neither of us had any experience. We were living abroad. We had no contacts. We hadn't raised money over there. We didn't have visas to work over there. We had nothing going for us. But, we were young, we were in our 20s and decided to go for it. So we started a mobile payment app that you could use to like pay your friends and pay at restaurants over there. We thought that the service and hospitality in London was super slow. So we started a company, and that was my first startup. It was very difficult and it was a quite a roller coaster, although very different times than we're in now. But that was really my first experience being a startup founder and navigating, the landscape and growing a company.
So did you go straight from that startup to what you're doing today? Or was there any interim jobs, things in the middle?
So my idea, like I started wearing every hat, and the idea was definitely like planted. My second startup was planted in my first, but we were actually getting acquired. So in 2017, we got acquired by American Express, but it was during that period. And then I continued to work with them for 2 years, but it was during that period that I was trying to get us some media exposure and get us some press. And we didn't have the resources to hire a big agency. So I had to just figure out how to do it on my own and self-teach, and found out how difficult that was to do. And I didn't find any resources. I couldn't really find any like good tech or anything that was like helping me. So this started the wheels turning of what I built as my second startup, which was PressHook.
Okay, let's get into PressHook. Tell us all the things, the how, the what, the who, everything. Dump it all on us.
Sure. So the biggest thing I couldn't find, and I was just searching everywhere, is I thought I could find a two-sided platform. I thought that all the tools out there were really good for helping maybe publicists like pitch and send a press release, and tools like in a database of journalists. And journalists didn't really have any tools on their end, but there was nothing that connected both sides. So you have brands and publicists that are constantly looking for press opportunities and pitching journalists one way, and journalists that are getting stories assigned that are going another way, looking for content. And there was nothing that held them both together and let them work collaboratively. And, this is a world of media relations and all about relations and relationships. And thought it was crazy to me that there was nothing that existed for them to work on together in one place.
Okay, so what did you build?
So we built a two-sided platform. On one side, you, as a brand or publicist, you sign up and create a brand profile, which really acts as your digital media kit. And then on the other side, so we got enough media kits like built on one side that we went to the journalists and said, hey, come search this, use this to discover brands and products for your stories. And also you could search it. So when you get a story assigned, you could quickly search it, find what you're looking for, reach out to the brand, request a sample, and they can basically facilitate the whole story with all their needs in one place.
And if my research serves me correctly, and it does because it's literally on your front page, there's an AI component to it, yes?
Yes, although not the beginning. At the beginning, it was very manual.
Okay.
At the beginning, it was very manual, and that it was, as a brand, you could reach out to the journalists could reach out to the brands. But we had all this like tech debt and tech ideas that we wanted to build in the future, but we realized that, okay, we're gonna have to raise a lot of money, or this is going to take us years to build. But they were all of our ideas we had out there. And then literally when the AI explosion happened, late, 2022, early 2023, we started delving into it and testing with it, and realized that we could build all these features that would normally take us months or years within days. And we could speed up the time and the automation it took to build some of these features for our customers. So that definitely just like fast tracked us in terms of product development and features we were able to quickly release.
So this is such an interesting, AI is everywhere. Since I had to Google, when did ChatGPT, because in my mind, ChatGPT was like the first thing that went viral. I could be completely wrong, but that was in November of 2022. And since then, which we're coming up on a year, which is crazy, it has shooketh the world, but it really has shook our industry in good ways and in debatably maybe some not great ways. This past year, we've actually seen a ton of industry layoff, largely due to AI replacing human content production and journalists. But I also think there's a pro here as well. And to your point, on the small business side, on the journalist side, on the tech side, it really is this incredible technology. So I'm sitting at this personal conflict, and I just want to bring us into the larger conversation of how you've been seeing AI impacting the industry at large, especially since you are a company that is using the pro side of it, right? The benefits of it on your platform.
Sure. And I think since the beginning too, like we've always taken a cautious and a step back to what we're doing. It has a mind of its own. It's not always accurate. It's actually sometimes getting less accurate. So I think there's always proceed with caution with it. And with that said, though, I think there are many ways it can help you do some like mundane like tasks. And especially when you work in PR, you're constantly having to think and generate like new ideas and new ideas and new ideas and write all the time. And like sometimes you can just get stuck. So I think starting off, I think it's been really exciting to see just, what it can do and just helping you do some like research. Like you've got a new client you just signed. You need to do some research on their market, their industry. It's like a little research assistant you have, you can still do your own, but it's going to give you like another layer. However, you definitely should check it for accuracy. I would definitely say just don't take it for what it is. It could be updated. It could be completely incorrect, but use it as like a baseline, use it to inspire you, use it as your assistant. So I think that's step one of like that, being able to use it for research in all the work we do and coming up with like creative campaigns and ideas. It can help you come up with some like angles around seasonality and the editorial calendar. Come up with the biggest thing my team tells me is just coming up with pitch variations. So, just giving me some inspiration for a new pitch that I'm working on, maybe some subject lines again, because you're writing so many at a time. So it just kind of gives you, for me, it expands my vocabulary. I'm not a great writer, so I love it for that piece, but I do have to really check and make sure, double check what you're sending, especially to a journalist, is accurate and you've double checked it.
Lately, as in like even this week, what I've been using it for, and let me back up for a second. For me, it has still been ChatGPT and Bard. Before I even go to what I was saying, is this functionality available in Presshook that you're talking about? Or are we using external AI for these and you're just using AI internally with Presshook?
Yeah, sorry. So I was saying in just general,
Okay, cool.
use cases you can use. We use it for pitch copy. So you can come up with it. We have a pitch generator you can use. We have a press release generator you can use, again, as a draft to check and then revise before you send out. But again, it's helping, speed up some of those like admin mundane tasks you have to do. And it kind of puts it in best practices, and we've prompted it in really good ways. And it's read so many before that are, that have the best like practices built in it. So there's ways, especially helping small businesses like that might not know how to write a press release, but also agencies like it just the same because they have to write so many.
Yeah.
Another thing it does is helps you match. So it takes your client's profile and it helps like automatically create a media list for you. So based on your client, and it goes and finds relevant journalists and it tells you why they're relevant to that brand and why you should pitch them. So creating those media lists, again, super time consuming. So that's something we do that helps like speed up. It gives you more like ideas and recommendations of who you can pitch.
Okay. So many, my brain's going in so many directions. So first, okay. So in Presshook, there is a feature that it can help you generate press releases and pitches.
Yes.
Iterations. So what I've been doing lately is I'll use a client bio for an example. Maybe I'm writing a new client bio and it's very draft one version and I'm feeling stuck. I've been turning to, it sounds like I could maybe even do this in your platform, but I've been using AI to help me come up with like fresh sentence ideas or like, here's what I have, make it better. And then I'll read their iteration. I usually don't like it all, but maybe there's like one phrase. And so it's become kind of like a teammate for me to help me get past writer's block. And so when you were talking about that, that's something that has really resonated with me. Also taking transcriptions maybe of like a client meeting or a concept you have and telling or asking the AI to like put it into something a little bit more coherent has been a way my team has been using it. Tell me how yours inside the platform works with pitch creation and press release. Is it like the ChatGPT where you just give it a simple command, or do you have to input more information? How does that work?
we actually send you the questions and prompts. So like you normally ChatGPT would say, pretend that you're an experienced publicist and write a pitch around and you paste the pitch. We just prompt you with the questions that we need in order to create that first draft.
Got it. That's helpful too.
And it's just that we've taught it and used so many previous, like taught it like the types of like press releases, like we look for it to generate in a certain tone, in a certain like, third person. So we've just kind of like taught it the rules of creating a press release.
Amazing. Okay. So now media lists, and by far and away, this can be one of the most timely tasks that a publicist has, right? In terms of generating it and keeping it up to date. And so talk me through, how is it literally on PressHook? I tell you, maybe I'll fill out a client profile and then it just gives me suggested contacts, or how does that work?
Yep. So it reads your press kit. So when you join PressHook, you create a press kit for your clients. And that creates, about section, your founding story, it's tagged, it has images and what products you sell in there. So it takes all that information and then goes to our media database and finds relevant matches. So sees, this is a children's wear clothing brand. It'll go find writers that have written about baby and children's clothes. And it'll pull up, this writer writes about these kind of articles. She has these interests. She's written for these publications. They write about sustainable fashion. So like, it kind of matches the interests of the brand, the interests of the media.
Guys, my head. I feel like I'm not even that old yet, and it's only going to get more and more mind-blowing. I don't even know, there's Gen Z, and then I don't even know what's below that, but I have a daughter, she's 1.5.
Gen A, Alpha.
Is that what's below Gen Z?
Because we've gone through the alphabet. Starts over.
So are we back at A? So I don't even know what my daughter is, but I'm scared to think of the day when she's at a point of her career and where we're going to be at. I mean, it's exciting. It's really, really exciting, especially for lean teams too. I think having that, to your point, like the smaller brands who don't have the capital or the means to employ a huge firm to do all this work on this behalf. And then for the huge firms who are managing all the things, it's really becoming such a time saver. Are there any other ways that you have seen AI, either generally or within your platform, be able to be leveraged to save time when developing a strategy?
Yeah, let me just think. Again, coming back to like the pitch copy, the subject lines, creating a media list. We do have media monitoring too. So it can identify your brand and client in a certain mention, identify the actual press article and like the sentiment and making sure it's in there and sending it right to you, and putting that into a report. So we're kind of building out like the reporting side a bit more of automating that, because everyone knows like finding press clips, putting them in, putting all the stats together, creating your client coverage book is time consuming. So we're kind of looking at ways to speed that process up, as we've gotten a lot of feedback there. But yeah, I think the main thing is around the copywriting seems to be the biggest use case for it now. The media list is something new, and it's also really something we see more agencies love to use, because the media is just moving so fast. People are moving from publications, they're going freelance. It's so hard to keep up with who's where, that this is a good place for them to like stay updated on media and media moves, and building new relationships with journalists they hadn't known previously, and the Gen A or Gen Z journalists that are now coming in the workforce.
Did you know that I send out a community newsletter roundup every Tuesday, chock full of resources, free media kit downloads, event invites, journalist contacts, visibility opportunities? Basically, if you're not on the list, hit pause and sign up. It's super simple. Go to theprbarinc.com/newsworthy. That link is in the show notes. Okay, back to the show.
A great place for them.
I'd love to know, I know this is the $1 million question, but I'm curious if you have any predictions. This is something that sometimes keeps me up at night when I think of the industry overall on the journalist side and what AI has been doing to newsrooms, because you are operating in a platform where you have so many members of the media too. I don't know, maybe you have some sort of insider take, or I'm just your personal opinion on how AI, yes, there's so many things it can do to save us time, but how do you see it impacting members of the media in the next, heck, let's even go 1 year, because I feel like 5 years from now is way too far out to even predict.
I think again, I mean, it still comes down in the end to like creativity and your knowledge and knowledge of a market, knowledge of an industry, being able to fact check. So things like that, I think they're just new tools in the market. Like we used to always say there's an app for that. There's always a new app for that. This is like there's a new prompt for that, you know, like it's just a new set of tools basically that we have access to. And you know, those tools we see new ones every year. So I think it really just comes down to how they use it, in saving, again, like them time, helping them discover content that's relevant to them, helping them, again, maybe do some like market research. But again, I think there's something said about the tone of voice, like you see when it comes through, the tone of voice that a journalist has or a publication has their own branding style, and their ability, the media, to like pick out products and brands that they want to cover that are good fit for their readers. So they still are always going to have to like sample a product. I don't think AI is going to like generate that feature, but you know, they still need to like test out an experience or a demo or a product you have in real life in order to vet it. So totally. I think there's parts of it that help with like, again, like the admin tasks, and then, but the creativity, the knowledge, like the understanding of their readers and what's gonna, you know,
the humanness, right? I think
the human angle.
Yeah, Alice Dubin, who's a freelance journalist on this show, what she said in relations to AI, she was the first person I invited to talk about this back when it was all like breaking. She said the one thing it will never be is human. And that's kind of what I'm hearing the through line of when you're speaking is, yes, there's some great time-saving tasks that they can systemize that can really be a wonderful tool, but at the end of the day, journalists aren't going away, just maybe how they operate day to day, and maybe some of their tasks, if they should embrace it, can actually become more efficient. So I do think it can become a really, really positive thing. It's just, you know, we're like any generation, I'm sure this is what happened when social media, I kind of grew up, well, that's not true. Social media more came around in high school for me. So there was a minute where we didn't have it. But anytime there's a new influx of technology that's really impacting our world, I think everyone's a little like, some people love it, some people hate it, some people don't know what to do with it. And that's how I'm feeling about AI right now.
Yeah, I think there's a responsible way to use it, you know, and obviously there's not, but you're right. I think sometimes my team will write something with it. I'm like, oh, go back. I like how you wrote it at first. Like it seems more real, more you, more us, like how we speak. Yeah. A little less robotic. So I think you can kind of tell a difference there.
For sure. So before we kind of get to where everyone can learn about Presshook, I have a completely different non-AI related question. And you kind of started answering it earlier, but part of Presshook, as you mentioned, is there's the two sides. So there's the brand and the publicist, and then there's the members of the media. And you were talking earlier about how you started on the side of getting enough brands and publicists to the platform to maybe then make it attractive to members of the media. My question, just from a media relations standpoint, is how you guys, or maybe some strategies that you've used to attract members of the media to your site and maintain relationships on that side of it.
Yeah. And I think this goes back to like good old like PR 101 is just like we had to create a hook. We had to serve the brands and content and innovative brands that they hadn't seen anywhere else yet. We had to come up still with those angles to like hook them in and say like, come check out these brands because, you know, they're woman or minority owned. These are small business. These are doing something innovative in their space and branding and packaging. They're changing this. So there was still always the Pitchin angle that we had to target the right people with the right kind of content. And still to this day, that is our strongest acquisition, you know, is doing that like personal, like one-to-one. signing up a journalist, knowing what they're interested in, and sending them relative content to get them to come on to PressHook and check out more of what we have to offer.
Is it free for the journalists and paid for the brands, or how has that shuffled out at this point?
Yes, we've always been free for media, and businesses and agencies pay a monthly subscription.
Got it.
And we have different tiers. They're very affordable, so low to high price points, whatever you're looking for.
Amazing. And do you do any pitching in the platform, or is it matchmaking? I guess I just want to make sure I'm not missing a feature that we have.
So once you create a profile on PressHook, you can view the media we have and pitch them in the platform. Media can also pitch you. So a big thing you'll see is like media requesting a sample of a product or messaging you about a story or an opportunity that they have. So it goes both ways. You see them, pitch them. It's like a LinkedIn. You can pitch them, they can pitch you. We also have like a source request tab. So like the media, if they're looking for something very specific, they can type that in, and it'll go out to relative brands and agencies on the platform that are a good fit for that story.
What do you think makes PressHook different than similar or adjacent, maybe not exactly the same competitors, but what makes you unique on the marketplace? What's your super special sauce?
Yeah, I think the first part was just creating the two-sided platform. So not just having it go one way. So how brands can reach out to the media and media can reach out to you. That didn't exist. We also just have more interactive features. So like creating a brand profile, you have like products, they can be sampled. It says like approve and ship. You can track all your sample requests in one place. That didn't exist in the market. You can create press releases. We have the source request. So it really is like an all-in-one solution when we looked at what's out there on the market. It media monitors for you, so it really has everything that you could need in one place. And that's what we're hoping for, is just to consolidate all the different places we are going to get content and media opportunities and just make it more efficient and seamless for both sides.
Has getting press been a part of your strategy or significant in any way in growing PressHook?
Yes, more so lately. I think the first year or two, you're just hustling as a startup. And our goal was to get our brands press and connect the journalists to the brands. So that was our first priority, is like product market fit. And we need to, show this success and show this can work. So it was a little less about us, more about like finding the right customers, because you don't want to just go too big and have a big market. So we had to find the right customers on both sides, start small, start lean, and connect them. So it was a little bit less about us. And then finally, like, okay, we need to, show the successes, show who we are, get out there. So I do think it's just that we need to practice what we preach. and it has been so beneficial for us since we've started doing our own and getting more press exposure. Brought us so many opportunities lately.
I mean, I always, when you have your own podcast, guys, and you make the rules, yet I kick myself season after season that I have a 30-minute show, because I always want to ask so many more questions. But I do want to, before we wrap up, ask you one very important signature question of this show, which is, we've talked AI, we've talked Pitchin. Michelle, what can we find you sipping? What is your favorite beverage, alcoholic or non-alcoholic, of course?
Oh, I would definitely say a margarita, but probably like a mezcalita if I can have one.
Mezcalita?
Yeah. I love all sorts of margaritas, spicy margaritas, all that good stuff. That's definitely my go-to.
Spicy margarita.
And non-alcoholic would be like Culture Pop. I like those like fizzy.
What is it? I don't know what Culture Pop is. Is it just a pop?
It's a drink. It's like a probiotic drink that's like fizzy, good for you, and comes in really good flavors.
Culture Pop. Culture Pop and mezcalitas. I love that. So where do people go to learn all about PressHook? Of course, guys, we'll put this in the show notes, but for those of you driving, I want to make sure we give a shout out to.
You can go to our website. It is presshook.com, PRESSHOOK.com. You can also find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, you name it. and we'd love to have you. And we actually do have a code. It's Pitchin 50, and that gives you 50% off your first 3 months.
Ooh, fun. Pitchin 50 is all lowercase. Does that matter?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Pitchin 50. Guys, jump on it. Thank you so much. That's so generous. I'm really excited for everyone listening and for us to check that out. Michelle, this has been great. I'm really, really fascinated about the world of AI, and the fact that you're leading the charge in our industry is something I have to take my hat off to and give you a huge congrats. And just thank you for taking the time to come on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been fun. Love to chat anytime again, on or offline.
Until the next time on the Pitchin and Sippin podcast. Cheers. Hey guys, if you are enjoying the Pitchin and Sippin podcast, please do me a huge favor and leave a review wherever you are listening. If you want to connect with me to learn more about the PR Bar Inc., you can do so on Instagram at @thePRBar_Inc., or you can check out my website at theprbarinc.com. Cheers!